All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're watching this on the YouTube or you're on Apple or Spotify. Hey, did you know now people can leave comments on our podcast on Spotify?
I didn't know they couldn't.
Sometimes I can put a poll. I didn't know they couldn't. I can put polls on there, but allegedly now there's just a place kind of like social media where you can leave comments.
Oh, man.
So if you're if you're smart enough to figure that out, leave us a comment so we know that it works.
Only if it's nice.
Drop questions in there if you want us to answer them too. Speaking of topics, today we have a new format for you guys called Face Off. Mm-hmm. I'm facing you. What is Face Off going to be today?
We're going to be comparing two things like protein powder versus those ready-to-made shake and drink drinks.
Say that again. Ready-to-made shake and drink.
Already made shake and drink drinks. I just made that up. Shake and drink. Yeah. Counting calories versus habit change for weight loss. Direct ab work versus the idea you're already using your abs in these workouts. Why you need to do direct ab work? Squatting and deadlifting past 40 versus eliminating dangerous exercises. And
quote, dangerous.
Burpees versus no burpees.
We already know Blakely's going to answer that one. But yes, so stay tuned for all those. We do have a sponsor for the day. Oh. I'm holding it up to the camera here. We are sponsored by Mio Energy. I've talked about this before. We did a YouTube video on it one time, but I'm telling you guys, if you like to take a pre-workout because of the caffeine that you get out of it, most of the powdered ones that you buy are going to be about $2 per serving. Mm-hmm. Last time I checked, an energy drink for the caffeine is between $2 and $4 for a can of that stuff. This little, 1.6 fluid ounce container, whatever you call this thing, is like less than $5. And this is 12 servings in it. So it is a cheap way to get caffeine. You can run the numbers on it.
$5 for this?
Yeah, but it's 12 servings.
I know, but it's almost like just over $1 a serving, just under $1 a serving.
That would be $12 if it was $1 a serving. This is $5. It's less than 50 cents a serving.
That seems like a lot of money to pay for this. We're paying $5 for this little bottle.
Hey, they sponsor the podcast. Leave them alone. This is the cheapest way to get a pre-workout. And the cool thing about this is it's dosable. So it tells you how many. She's trying to say her iced tea is a cheaper way to get caffeine.
Iced tea pre-made packets.
That is a cheap way to get caffeine.
24 packets for like $3.
Yeah, but a serving of this is only 3/4 of a teaspoon, and it gives you 90 milligrams of caffeine. You would have to drink a lot of tea to get 90 milligrams of caffeine, and you would probably spend the entire workout in the bathroom also after drinking all that tea. So you can just I like to weigh out a portion just to see what it looks like.
I think you put too much in your cup. You're talking kind of fast.
It's 4 milliliters in a serving of this, so that gets you 90 milligrams. So you're crazy and you drink 200 milligrams of caffeine before you work out. You can dose yourself however you want. So anyway, if you like caffeine before you work out, there's a cheap way to get it in. And I'll double check the price on it. Maybe it's more like $3.50. But anyway, they make it in caffeinated and non-caffeinated, this Mio brand. So make sure you look at the label if you want to give it a shot. There we go. You want to get into this? Oh, was there something else we were going to talk about? Oh, if you're not on our email list, you got to get on there because they'll get the first shot at our Black Friday sale. We have not revealed to the public what it is yet, but it's going to be a really good deal and you're going to feel super sorry for yourself if you miss out on it. So I'll put a link to join our email list in the show notes for this episode.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
These are going to be good. Face off. All right, first one, protein powder versus ready to drink protein drinks.
It's a mouthful.
I'm talking about like pure protein, all those little things you get out of the fridge.
Yes. All right. If they are versus each other, I'm going to say protein powder wins every day. Not only because it's cheaper per serving, but a lot of the pre-made, ready-to-drink protein drinks I see out there are bringing on more calories from carbohydrates and fat than just buying a pure whey protein isolate or even a pea, soy, rice protein powder if you're one of our vegetarian-loving friends. I think people kind of like have forgotten about protein powder for some reason. It used to be the only option for getting protein in after a workout or having a convenient on-the-go thing, and all these ready-to-drink things came in. Maybe the popularity of Costco had something to do with this, but I would encourage people, if it's been a long time since you bought an actual protein powder, go back to thinking about doing that. If you're somebody who travels a lot, here's a little hack for you. Put your protein powder that you need for your trip in a Ziploc bag. put it into a shaker bottle in the Ziploc bag, bring that with you, and then it's going to be easy enough. Put your scoop in there too. And when you get to your destination, it's easy to find cold water, and you can just scoop your protein out of your Ziploc bag and make your shakes as needed. And like, back when I was working from my truck all the time, I would bring a protein shake with me as a snack during the day, and I would just make it ahead of time in a plastic shaker bottle, put it into my cooler bag with an ice pack where the rest of my lunch was, and boom, there it was, ready to go without having to stop at a convenience store.
A previous sponsor was the ice shaker bottle, which really has revolutionized the shaker bottles, where they are like these insulated bottles now, but they have the shaker bottle top, and they even come with the little thing inside. We took ours out, but these are really great for bringing a shake on the go.
So like, I think if you're somebody who's really come to rely on the ready to drink protein shakes, you're probably not going to be as consistent as you would if you had more control over the dry protein powder, because you're going to probably forget to bring the ready to drink thing with you. You're going to go into the store. They don't have the one that you normally do, but they do have a Snickers. And you're thinking about the protein in the peanuts and the Snickers.
That'll work.
And you might just make a different decision. So,
I mean, like we say with everything, the more control you have over something, the better it is going to be for you and for the long run. So, I think protein powder for sure wins. And
we're still on a big kick with our protein powder in the morning. We're doing a cup smoothies of high protein, ultra filtered milk. We use a brand in Texas called Mootopia, but you could use Fairlife, the skim version of it. A scoop of whey protein. One frozen raspberry gives us that creamy texture. One frozen banana, one frozen raspberry. That's all you need. And then a handful of frozen raspberries. And it gets us 40 grams of protein at breakfast. It's super hydrating. It's pretty filling. Doesn't have a ton of calories in it, but it's a great option.
Yeah, I think it's really filling. Love them. All right.
Whew.
Good job.
I'm worn out on that one. Let's go.
All right. Here we go. Counting calories. Like, if it fits your macros and relying on that versus habit change, which is like understanding what you're eating, understanding how to make your plate, understanding nutrition for weight loss.
Okay, maybe we should have skipped this one because this one I might rant on for a little bit too. Do you have any thoughts on before I just go off? Because this is something I've changed my mind on over time. Yeah. I've got some pretty strong feelings about it now, but what do you think?
I mean, I'm going to go team habit change. For sure. Counting calories is a tool that it will be involved in that habit change, because counting calories allows you to understand what is in calories, to see it on your plate. Yeah, what's in food, to understand how to weigh it, to understand what portions look like. It's a huge piece of it, but I think that people can get very caught up in only being able to feel like they can lose weight or maintain what they eat, or use control over how many calories they're getting if they count them in an app. And if we're reliant on that, this is not something that we're going to want to do over holidays, over vacations, for the rest of our life, for longevity. So if we never learn that true habit change, if we never understand nutrition, or we understand how to make a plate, how to make balanced meals, then we're just going to yo-yo back and forth between like success when we are counting and then no success when we're not.
Yeah. I'm glad I let you go first, because you basically just said everything that I was thinking. I think like we'll look back in 10 years on macro counting, calorie counting, and this is not a new thing, but it's super popular right now. And I think we'll look back on it as just another one of the kind of fad type diets that people did and yo-yoed back and forth between losing weight and gaining weight.
But it's not a fad, because it is a tool. It's a thing that you need to do for a period of time to learn.
Well, any tool can be used appropriately, or it can be abused too. And I think a lot of people have come to rely on macro counting because they don't go at it with the approach like, I'm going to use this as a tool to change the habits of the way that I eat. I'm just going to use it as a way to like hit my numbers, play food Tetris, make sure I don't eat too much, and I'm going to get the result that I want. And then when they go away from it, like food becomes a coping mechanism again. Their portions start to grow because they didn't pay attention really to what they were eating during the time that they were logging. And I think a lot of people will just yo-yo with that cycle back and forth. But like any tool that can be used well too, if you go into it with the approach of like learning, teaching, using it as a teaching tool, dealing with any underlying things in your life that are causing you to overeat at the same time you're learning about nutrition, then you could back away from the logging over time. You fix the underlying issues with your nutrition. And that really is like the food freedom situation that we want for everybody, to have the education, have the healthy coping mechanisms, not be reliant on this tool that you have to go back to every time it's time to lose weight again.
Because if you've never done that before, the number one thing it teaches you is just awareness of what is in food and what portions look like. Because I think that's a big piece that people don't really sometimes understand.
Yeah. And counting macros and calories is a really tricky situation for people who have this type A perfectionist mindset, because it really does give you that control that feeds into your like ego, like I'm doing this thing. But ultimately, because it's not really sustainable for most people and it's so hard to be accurate with, it can push people into the all or nothing mentality really quickly if they do have those perfectionist tendencies.
Well, I was going to bring that up too, because it's not perfect. It's not a perfect system, like you said. Like you have to also be skilled at logging it and in knowing like what portions are and how much, like what is a cup, what is an ounce, and either getting your scale out or being really good at guessing. Because if you get it wrong and you're logging, then it will lead to frustration with like, hey, nothing's happening, I'm not losing weight, and I'm logging on my calories because the app says I ate this many calories, but the truth might not be that, just because of some errors in logging. Yeah. And forgetting to log something and things like that.
Yeah, either voluntarily or involuntarily.
It can also be like a frustrating experience. And so I think like understanding like what is understanding nutrition, understanding what habit changes, and is the way to go.
If you go to our website and you click on the nutrition coaching part, you'll read the details of our 7-step nutrition freedom framework that explains kind of like the role that we think that counting calories has in your weight loss and weight maintenance journey.
And that's kind of you're talking about the steps that we take nutrition clients through.
Right. So go check that out.
Okay, here we go. Another good one. Face off. Direct ab work. So, doing exercises that target your abs versus the mentality of like, hey, you're already using your abs in this workout. You don't need to work them directly.
Yeah. Deadlifts already work your abs. Squats already work your abs. Like you're just wasting time training your abs. Which is true. Yeah, that's right. It's like, that's why there's a little bit of nuance to this discussion.
What's your...
I mean, all of our clients would already know the answer to this because we routinely work our abs directly. I think there's so many benefits to it. Let's just talk about like the superficial benefits. First of all, your abs are a muscle just like any other muscle on your body. The more that you train them and the more you recover from that training appropriately, they're going to grow a little bit. Now, I realize not everybody wants like a distended belly with giant abs, but if one of your goal is to have a little bit more definition in your abs, well, it's no different than being able to see the definition of your triceps or your chest. You actually have to grow the muscle a little bit. And you're not really in like the isometric way that your abs are worked in a lot of compound lifts. You're not really causing the muscular growth that you do when you do the direct ab training. So that's one of the reasons that we do it. Plus, like stronger abs, which you get from direct ab training, translates over to basically every functional part of your life also. So there's really no downside to training your abs directly, unless you just don't have the training time to do it. And like, it's not just sit-ups and crunches too, like training your obliques through anti-rotation things like pull-off presses or side planks or carries or one-arm step-ups, like all that kind of stuff really translates over to life. Hashtag carrying the groceries or carrying a heavy suitcase or one of those 5-gallon bottles of water or whatever. And back to the first point about the aesthetic reasons to train your abs too, like training your obliques can create that more straight line down your sides and create more definition where your obliques connect to your pelvis down there at the bottom too. So
so often these cannot be the fun things that we want to do. Like sometimes we look at the list and we're like, oh, the squats are on the list. Oh, I don't want to do that. And then at the end, there's like a long farmer carry or long suitcase carry or like a 10-minute ab circuit at the end. Look, these are often the things that are not fun to do, but like you said, so beneficial.
I think the results that most people want, they're not going to get from just the ab training that accidentally happens while you're doing everything else. You're going to get the results you want from doing plenty of direct ab training too.
But you can also make it fun. I think that's one thing that like people that work out with us see is like you can sneak this volume in. And I like to sneak it in the warm up first of all, because it's helpful to warm your core up anyway. But you're getting some bonus volume in there and in the finishers, and you can like mix it in with some other things, so you're not just sitting there for 15 minutes bored, just working your abs and like, wanting to cry and be like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. It's not just like 10 sets of 10 ab rollouts.
Yeah. So I think there's a way to balance and make it fun and make it something that you're willing to do.
Yeah. And you do a great job of that, babe.
Oh, thank you. All right. Squats and deadlifts past 40. 40 is just like one of those numbers where like, oh, if you're over 40, you're old. If you're not, but just, you're not old at 40. But squats and deadlifts past 40 versus eliminating these types of exercises in your older years.
I think this one is like birthed out of the idea that like, all right, once you get over a certain age, it's time to eliminate some of those #risky exercises. Just take it easy, leave those aside.
You might even hear this from a doctor sometimes.
Maybe transition to using more machines. We're not trying to pick up any heavy weights or like put anything on our back. Just we can make do with just some light dumbbells for the rest of your life. I think it's terrible. It's terrible advice. And I haven't listened to it yet, but I saw that Peter Attia, the guy who wrote Outlived, had a recent episode with somebody else, and like they just laid out the entire case for continuing to do exercises like squats and deadlifts well past 40. So check that out if you're into his podcast. But I mean, how else are you going to maintain full body strength better than doing squats and deadlifts? And of course you can scale this as you get older and things come up in your life, and if you have any injuries or whatever. But I've lost track of how many of our clients that are over 50, 60, and even 70 have said that, and even people with artificial knees and other joints in their body, how much better they feel when they're loading their joints with these heavier weights and going through a full range of motion.
So true.
And even below this like surface stuff that we can't see, and the strength that we can't like see when we're in the gym, it increases your bone density, which is one of your best defenses against not dying as you get older, and you invariably fall down and trip over something. Like, resistance training, and what better way to do that than heavy squats and deadlifts, heavy relative to you, is one of the best ways to improve your bone density or maintain what you have and avoid osteoporosis and all the things that detract from the quality of life as you get older. Heavy weightlifting also increases insulin sensitivity, and chronic disease like type 2 diabetes just robs people of their quality of life as they get older. And people forget that they're more than just doing cardio is needed if we want to preserve our insulin sensitivity and stay off of some medications that can just be like things that people think, oh, as you get to this age, I'm gonna have to start taking this. And weightlifting, specifically these kinds of heavier loaded exercises, can be great and help prevent that. Joint health, like we've interviewed Darren Deaton several times on this podcast, and he talks about how with his clients, like continuing to load the joints helps maintain the integrity of the cartilage, keeps the synovial fluid being produced at a regular volume, when lubrication is so important to healthy joints as we get older. And if we just lay off of the heavy exercises, we produce less of that, and we have more degenerative decay in the joint itself. So yes, I mean, I think I've made the case that but I get it though. Like there's this mental thing, especially if you've ever had a tweak or something that's made you feel fragile, or like you've been scared. It's normal to feel a little bit scared after you've had an injury, but just eliminating certain things from your training because you have that moment of fear isn't worth the trade-off of the benefits you're going to get later in life by continuing to find a way to keep these things in your training. And I think having a coach goes a long way in that, to reassure you and to appropriately dose these exercises so you can safely do them.
And there's certain other things that are going into, like maybe if you did have an injury or a tweak that might be leading to that, versus it's not like maybe not the squat or deadlift's fault. It could be like, we haven't been training our core enough so that we're like weak in the core, and then we try to get under the barbell or lift it. We go into our workouts from a day where we're like sitting, we're just like, sitting all day long. And then we try to go and we're like, we're feeling like tightness in our hips or things like that. And so there's so many times where we like get into the gym and like something hurts and we blame that exercise right there. And it might not be that case of that, that can make you be like, nope, that one's out.
Yeah. And this might be hard to hear for a lot of people, but along those same lines, maybe one of the reasons you're getting hurt is because your recovery stinks. Like maybe it's your nutrition. Maybe you're not prioritizing sleep. Maybe you're drinking too much alcohol and
not mobilizing enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe those things are contributing to the bad feelings you have when you do these very important exercises. So don't just blame the exercise if it could be something else.
And like you said before, like this is when it's so great to have a coach, because we have options. Like obviously using the barbell for these movements is going to be the best thing, just, because there's so many other things involved when you're using a barbell, not, versus like a Smith machine or, a leg press machine. But there's so many options is my point. There are things like Smith machines that help you, stay in line. There's safety. What are the bars that have the little safety squat bars where when you start to like, if this position where your arms are behind you starts to, become tough and preventing you from squatting correctly, that we can hold the bar in front of us.
Yeah.
There's trap bars for deadlifts that we can use. Then there are, things like leg press machines. So there are so many options that we can do to keep doing these type of things.
Think about the maintenance and improvement and balance by continuing to be able to do squats and deadlifts as you get older.
Yeah.
And I mean, just in my own family, I can see a lack of balance or deteriorated balance over time is a major contributor to a decline in independence and therefore quality of life overall. So man, that's a big one right there, balance.
All right. Last but not least,
I'll just let you take this one.
Burpees versus skipping those burpees.
I saw this on Threads yesterday or the day before, somebody posting like, burpees are stupid. Like, why would anybody ever do a burpee? So why don't you make the case? Because I already know you're team burpees versus
I'm team burpees, and everybody knows it. I mean, the first case is you fall down, you get down on the ground. How are you going to get up? I mean, a burpee is getting down and getting up.
Yeah. And
it's one of the most functional things that we can do. I really like the down up version of a burpee. You don't have to have the big jump and clap at the top. You can do the drop down to the ground and get up without the clap.
You still pop up the same way you do with a regular burpee?
You just don't have to extend and jump and clap. Fine with that. I mean, I've said it 100 times on this podcast. I think things like that build so much mental toughness, because anything that we look at and we're like, if we see the word burpee in our workout list and we hate it, if we do it, we get tougher, not only physically but mentally. So I mean,
I think you're right.
It's the big thing like that. It's just overcoming something, and they're not as bad as you think.
I've never really dug deep on what people's argument are when they say burpees are stupid. I think it's because they think they're hard. Yeah. Really, or I mean, I can't really think of a physiological reason why people are like, burpees are dumb because you're loading your spine in the wrong axis and the stress on your wrists. Like, I don't think any of that stuff checks out. So I think it really boils down to people don't want to do something that's hard.
Do something that's hard.
And if they say they're like a worthless exercise, well, what's your judgment? Like, what scale are you using for if this is a good exercise or not? Are you thinking like it's not a good exercise for building strength? Yes, it's not. It's a conditioning tool and a way to train functional strength, and range of motion and being able to carry over to doing things in your life. So if you want to say it's not a great strength building exercise, sure. Unless we're talking about mental strength.
I mean, we were just actually talking about this the other day with other things. Like if you can continue to get on the ground and get off of it quickly, that's like such a useful thing that you're going to like have for as long, you do that for as long as you can. If you can continue to jump on a box, do that for as long as you can. Once you stop doing that, it's going to be really hard to stop. If you can hang from a pull-up bar and do like an ab exercise or even a pull-up, as soon as you stop hanging from that pull-up bar, you're going to start to lose that range of motion
and the grip strength.
The grip strength. So that's what we like. That's the biggest case for these type of things is like if you stop doing something, it's like use it or lose it.
Yeah.
You're gonna stop. You're gonna stop having the capacity to do it, and all of these things like carry over into our everyday life.
Yeah. I hope
you're not falling down on the ground every day, but if you do, you can easily get back up.
The first time I programmed burpees for my client, Jeff, I think he's 69. I programmed him scaled burpees where you do a walk down and you do a walk up each time. And he sends me his form check video, and boom, he does the regular full hop down, hop up burpee. I was like, let's go, Jeff. Like, didn't ask you to do that, but it's amazing that you can do it. And he's going to live a longer, more independent life because of that. Okay, that was this episode of Face Off.
I like these.
Let us know in the Spotify comments what you thought about this format, or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave us. I'd like for you to leave us ideas for more ideas for Face Off, and also your thoughts on our thoughts on each of these things. Are we wrong?
Homework you're giving
or
people
are we right? Let us know. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day.